Stepping out on a limb with purpose. Great things happen when we decide to climb out on a limb with purpose. Great things happen. Come and go with me out on a limb.
Welcome to the podcast, where we discuss some interesting features and elements of life. It's called Out on a Limb, and as the name suggests, we explore the hard subjects, the necessary subjects that many ponder but fail to discuss. Here with me this afternoon, Out on a Limb, is a wonderful panel comprising Ruth Lawrence, Denise Harris McFarlane, and Romaine Sohan. Ruth is an ordained evangelist. She is a youth leader. She is a public speaker. She holds a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. She has served in several government agencies. She is a writer and a publisher, and she is here this afternoon to share with us. Next to her is Denise Harris McFarlane. She is a public speaker, a public figure, has served as a nurse in her training, and then she would have matriculated through the health sector, serving in various capacities as government advisor, program developer and sustainer, and has traveled the world. Next to her, we have the able thorn on the set, Romaine Sohan. He is an ordained minister, strong in his faith, a family man. He's married, of course, and he holds a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and just a humble man. Your host this evening, yours truly, Mark Reid, a man who is strong in his faith. I'm a Christian, an ordained elder, a public speaker, a father of two. I hold a bachelor's degree in guidance and counseling, and I'm a musician, and I'm here this evening to explore with this panel very interesting topic as we go out on a limb to talk about the things you want to hear, but so often you're scared to talk about it. This evening we're exploring the subject of love, and in particular, the family type of love. We're not talking about the sex this evening and all of that passionate kind of love, but we are exploring rather another side of love. It is the family type of love, and the Greek, in their skillful rendering of the word love, they have broken down love into several categories. One such is eros, which is the quote-unquote common type, the sexual, passionate side of love. But the Greeks would have us know that there's another element to love, which is the family type of love, called storge. And that is the side that we are exploring this evening. And so we are going to be talking about this and to see what relevance this side of love bears on life. So I have some questions for you guys. Are you ready? Yes. All right. I know you are ready to help us talk about the family type of love. So storge love is a Greek term that refers to natural familial type of love, the deep affection and bond shared between family members such as parents and children, siblings, close relatives. It is often characterized by loyalty, protection, and unconditional care, forming the foundation of many strong relationships in society. Now, Normally, we would begin with the ladies,
Ah.
but I have chairman's
Thank the Lord.
I have chairman's privilege this evening. So I am going to deviate from the norm a little bit because that's how we do it out here on a limb. And I am going to bounce a question, the first question, to Romain Sohan. Now, how does the family, does it differ from other types of love? For example, eros.
All right. Thank you again for having me. We're out on the limb. Storge, for me, in my opinion, it's the purest form of love. No sexual connotation or attachment to it. It is that love that forms the basis for every other love relationship that one enters into. And so without a healthy story, then all the other love, all the other elements of a love will be affected. So for me, Storge is different in that it does not come from a place of wanting per se what somebody has. It comes from a place of naturally giving what is a part of you.
All right. Very interesting, very interesting. All right, so this is a giving kind of love. It does not seek or yearn for gratification.
That's it.
Rather interesting. Is there a correlation between the lack of family love and the kind of moral decay that we are experiencing in society today? And I ask because earlier you said it forms the basis of other forms of love. So there is no doubt we are experiencing a moral decay on a very frightening level. Is there a correlation, a relationship between the two?
In my opinion, yes. Because we find, let's look then at the predominant family structure in our Jamaican context. It is a single parent, mother-led household based on statistics.
Yes.
It therefore means that an element of storge is missing from the lives of our children, which is a father's love. And research tells us that a father being present and having that kind of father figure does a whole lot for the lives of children, academically, behaviorally, socially, ethically, morally. And so that aspect of love missing from their life inevitably ties to the moral decay in our society. Additionally, storge has within it a deep sense of care for each other. It has also the fact that there are boundaries and those boundaries are respected. What we find now in our society is that people don't really respect boundaries anymore. And so law and order is no, it makes no sense to them really and truly. And so if you're not from a setting or a family that is built on strong storge, then that sense of moral responsibility that you are to have won't be there. So there is inevitably that kind of correlation between what we're seeing in our society, because the truth is when you look at the statistics being put out there, a lot of the most heinous crimes and illicit activities are being perpetrated by males who lack that kind of father love, that kind of father figure in their lives. So we see that there's some correlation there.
All right. How do you feel about that, panel? Ladies, chime in on that. A correlation between moral decay, crime, and lawlessness in society. How does that even relate to a lack of family love?
I mean, I couldn't agree more with Romain in that the foundation of our society is built on the family. And the fact that there is that lacking, I believe it tends to translate to how it is that we lead, how we show up in the world. Equally so, the presence of a mother, of a father, that giving, that how it is that we shape our children, it helps to sort of hone how it is that they show up for others. And equally too, what you find is that violence begets more violence. So if you're raised in a home where there is a prevalence of violence, it's automatic that you yourself will be a perpetrator of violence. And so the home really is a shaper and also a shifter of our societal morals and values. And so we have to understand that the base, the foundation of any society is the family. And where there is a decay in the family, or a lacking rather, that will always translate into the society. So we have to fix the familial elements first before we can seek to fix the societal ills that exist.
Rather
in our
interesting.
world, yeah.
Denise, as a person who's coming from, well, you're still within the health sector, but you would have matriculated from being a nurse and from being a trainer of nurses and all the way through. When you were on the ground, the nurse dealing with the blood and the bandage and the injection, what were you seeing in terms of the age demography and the gender split as it relates to perpetrators of crime in the society? What were you seeing there?
Well, firstly, we are in an aging population. So
Yes.
like our cohort right now within, and I'm saying our because I think all of us are, I think the
Still young,
reality is
still
that
young.
all of us are in the same age. But yes, so that's where the population is bulging. So we are the majority.
Okay.
So you will find that when in our setting growing up, we would have had more of the extended family, and I thought you were going to speak to that kind of extended oversight of the family unit where you have, the grandmother and so on. And
Okay.
right. And so
I'm coming to that.
right, that kind of extended oversight. But in so you would find it's mostly men, but of course, of late, the research is showing that more women are becoming more involved in crime and violence. And I would dare to say that the age cohort is going to be running in our age group, but we also could look at the violence prevention has done some studies as well to see there's a circulating 3,000 boys that fall out of school at grade 9. Wow. And they circulate in the system, and some of these same boys are the ones that right. But do we have natural story? I thought of that because you say it's a given love. Do all of us have that ability?
Okay.
To give love? Do we have what it takes? You understand? If you mentioned whether or not if it's nurtured on the inside, if it's not nurtured, can you give it? And I think maybe that's where we're struggling, where we should begin to look at in the society, because the anger that comes with it, is it that part of that inner part that gives was not nurtured from an early age. So and I think the health sector is still seeing the same kind of thing, and as we shift now from not necessarily violence alone, but we're adding other aspects to it now. We have in general, not naming one particular thing, but it's spreading, and we're still anchoring on our male population, but the female is becoming more involved.
Here's
Mark,
what I find.
If I may, before you
go
go,
ahead.
Just in relation to Denise's point, are we naturally wired to give love? I think so, but what we probably need to drill in on is our perception of love. Our perception of love determines how we show love. I say that because we grow up in a predominantly iron-fisted society.
I thought he was going to get everything.
Where
Talking about corporal
Love
punishment.
is aligned with punishment, with beating.
Yes.
And so coming out of that, we find even women saying, if the man no beat me, he no love me.
That still exists?
It still does. It
All
still
right.
does.
Okay.
And that kind of perception is formed, in my opinion, from the fact that, yes, mommy says she love me, daddy says he love me. But a part of that love is beating.
Okay.
So it comes now to what we call in psychology the whole nature-nurture factor. So while naturally we can give love, how we are nurtured determines how we express love.
Rather interesting. Rather interesting. Because as you said that, for some of us who came from the conservative, traditional family structure, love was, one of the expressions of love was how many beating you get. And punishment as against discipline, because they're not one and the same, we know.
That is it.
So you're saying then, guys, that there is a correlation between the violence and the lawlessness that we're seeing, and it can be traced to a lack of family love, that structure. Here's what I find interesting. A study was done in the United States of America a few years ago, and some of the prisons where men were held on death row, they were examined, and these prisoners were interviewed, and it was found that about 80%, and I'm being modest with the number because I don't remember specifically, but about 80% of those men who would have committed heinous crime,
Sorry, I got a cough.
they had one thing in common. They grew up in a household where there was no father figure, and they were abused either by their mother, one way or another, or by quote unquote caretakers within that structure. And that was frightening for me. Here's another frightening experience. A very popular, world-renowned pastor held a conference, and he said he felt led by the Lord to just speak to men. And he said, if you're out there and you lack a father's touch, come. Maybe if you search YouTube, you'll find it. And when he said that, Ruth is laughing as if she's seen it before. Men were coming, I mean, giants with muscles, biceps and triceps. These men were coming with tears in their eyes just to receive a father's touch. That is interesting.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Lack of family love.
And as you mentioned, men. Just on Sunday, I was saying to some persons, men have been nurtured to express love in a hard way. Because as a man, how many of us growing up, our fathers would call us and hug us, kiss us?
Not your generation.
And now you find that if a man is to embrace a brother, it feels almost funny. Because it's as though he is adding some connotation to it.
He's
If you-
applying eros. He's overlapping eros.
So if you look at a brother and say, you know, I love you, brother, you hear a man come and say, why to that?
So it's
Now,
a
burn out that.
homophobic society.
Is it?
Okay.
And so even in our expression of love to women, we can't be affectionate as men because we were not nurtured to see love as something that's affectionate.
Okay.
And that's sad because when I look at it, I see all of us as adults, as glorified children, right? And when you look at the child version of all of us, how we act, how we show up as adults now is directly linked to how it is that we were raised as children. So if there is a gap, that's how we're going to show up. If we were raised to not, if we were raised rather, not being exposed to love, we're not going to be able to show others love. right? And even when we look at it biblically, the Bible does tell us that we're supposed to love others as we love ourselves. But really, how many of us really understand what loving ourselves look like? You know, and if we don't understand how that love should be, we're not going to be able to translate that to somebody else. And we have to understand too that when we talk about the family type of love, as Romain said, this is the groundation, I would call it, that builds the society.
Yep.
And if we don't fix it from the family level, we are gonna be in big trouble, and we already see it happening now societally. Equally, I believe what we need to understand too is understanding the nature-nurture, the nature versus the nurture aspect of things. Yes, we might not all be predisposed to love or understanding love, but we must be able to be open to having the nurturing aspect, because some of us might not have come from loving homes, but we can be exposed to a loving environment that can ultimately change or change how it is that we express that. But the challenge is not many of us are open to having that kind of exposure.
So, am I hearing you say that this storge, family type of love, can be extended beyond biological family members?
Oh, yes.
Since we're talking about society.
Yes.
How necessary is that?
As Denise says, I mean, it's funny that she said it, because on Sunday I was at a family day, and I was saying to them, my grandmother, paternal grandmother, when she was cooking in those days, you had 10 of us in the family, but she cooked for 30.
Exactly.
And he said, Grandma, why are you cooking so much?
Somebody else will come.
Because she's cooking for passerby. And the passerby come, eat 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, passerby starts sleep. Passerby become a part of family.
Yes.
And so you realize that within households, traditionally, you have persons who are not family members, but that sense of community, that sense of love, that sense of care and compassion toward each other, that pull the people in. I mean, the village is
I was
non-existent.
about to say, it takes a
The
village.
village that raised the 70s and the 60s and somewhat 80s generation is non-existent now.
But the question is, can it come back though? And I believe it can.
It can.
Because they're different. So the units of society now are different. It
yeah.
used to be the homes that we all congregate. Where is the congregation now? Some of the congregation is online.
Online, yeah.
Mostly for the new generation, in the club, in the parks now, where people are going for
Sports
I
and-
believe that the units are different, the social groups are different, so we have to find a way now to help to socialize. When we were growing up, everybody had to go to Sunday school. And I always say that if you are a pastor, you have 5 children and all of them don't come up in church. That, to me, that's not the major outcome. The major outcome is that you create a child that is a good, honest citizen of society. So some of your children might grow and not stay in church, but they are honest, well-productive citizens that contribute positively to the country.
And you are hailing that. I'm sorry to interject.
Yeah, say again?
You are hailing that as some level of success. So
absolutely.
whilst this is not
Absolutely.
whilst this is not 100% religious discussion, but you are saying, since we're people of faith,
Yeah.
you are saying that, wow, this is not in the script, but you're saying a pastor or a religious leader who would have raised up some children, they are not strict adherents to the Christian faith.
Correct.
But they are well-adjusted, law-abiding citizens of the land.
Very much so.
Who are productive.
That's it.
And
Contribute to national development.
To national development.
And raising other
And
children
raising
in
other
society.
children.
So,
You're saying that should be hailed as success?
yes, so church is one of the social units, and that's where we have to begin to look now, like, what are the existing social units that can help to carve these values that as an assembly. First of all, the population is declining. People are having 1 and 2 children. It's no
I
longer
was
10
saying
and
that to
cooking
them
for
on Sunday as
30.
well.
You don't have 30 people to feed. So, right, so
And then
how...
even the demographic that's having children now is
Correct.
changing.
All right.
'Cause younger people
Professionals.
are now having children too.
Right.
And
So-
some of these younger people don't even have that kind of value system inculcated in them just yet.
So you're saying the problem is compounding?
Compounding.
It is compounding because you have people who would have gotten their base values from a church setting, Sunday
Yes.
school. But those same kids that have grown and have had children their children are not being sent to Sunday school. They don't have the time. They don't have it. So what now do we use in the society now, Mark, to groom as that benchmark, that framework to springboard and grow our children? If you're not getting the love from home, then where? And it's a serious crisis we're having. All right. So are we going to create online spaces?
Which
that
is
can
where
push
I
that?
want to go.
Right.
Because the pandemic has shifted how it is that we interact with each other.
Right.
Okay.
Because prior to the pandemic, we would have had that sort of a gathering to some extent. Now, 2 years of being by yourself and being stuck with your device, studies you would have seen where there is that isolation of people who not only did it by force because of the pandemic, but now willingly choose to be isolated. So how is it that you get people who are of this mindset that I'm all alone, it's just me against the world, you know? How do we get them to shift that mindset? Because even talking with a couple of young persons this week, they said, Miss, if we're going through anything, boy, we'll just stuff it out for our own. And I'm like, do you have somebody that you talk to? No, we not trust nobody. You know, that's the moral grounding that they have now. And so we have to, as the church now, seek to reinforce, right, the importance of having a community that we can go to for support.
Is it attainable?
It is.
Is that reintegration and moving with the shift and bringing back the value of family love? Is it attainable?
It's idealistic. Is it attainable? I don't want to be pessimistic, but it's going to be difficult because it's going to take unlearning, relearning. Would that happen over a generation? Probably not. As Denise says, the units of socialization within our country, have we gotten to the point where we are dissatisfied with how things are? And it is not until we are dissatisfied with how things are that we are going to agitate for change.
Okay.
The church,
Which
We're-
is one unit.
which is one unit, and
Right.
as you said, this is not a purely religious
It
place.
is not.
We're out on the limb. We're
But-
out on the limb.
Can we truly, as people of faith, say the church has exhibited a kind of storge that is worth emulating?
So I think the whole thing needs, it's a restructuring, and it has to be a broader developmental restructuring. And forgive me because I think developmentally, but the way we are culturalized, even that, I think the government has to have a different approach. Remember when we were growing up, they used to have community centers where people go, community centers. Well, now what they have is community Wi-Fi. So it's still isolating the children, even within the community, because everybody's still on their device. So it has to begin with the different social units, reculturalizing and shifting the way they do things. So the church as a unit used to have it's a youth, what's called it?
Youth fellowship.
Student fellowship or youth fellowship in the evening. It's a harder sell right now. So how do you shift from that to still have that kind of engagement with the young people? And it's possible, but we have to spend the time. We have to spend the time even I mean, on a national basis, we have to spend the time. So how can we engage the community now through this new device? You've put up an internet there for them to use. Most of them are not using it for school, we know that. But then how can we use it to engage and to bring them together? Do we use that same device to send out messages? We have a meeting, we have a games evening, we have a, you know, just how that shift, and the church has to think of it in the same way.
So both the church and the major stakeholders in society, this is what I'm hearing, need to not fight against the shift, because to an extent you can't. You cannot tell with any semblance of good rationale a 12-year-old not to look at Instagram, not to go on TikTok. That's almost impossible.
It is.
So maybe we should look at how we can not demonize these channels, but to kind of reshape so that we can create still a community. In other words, so to use it as a tool to bring back people together.
Absolutely.
So that we can embrace the family type of love. I have a question, Denise.
Yes.
Since we are seeing a rise in this individualistic approach to life, and it was mentioned, boy, I have a problem, Ruth said.
Yes.
Boy, I'll just tough this out. I can handle this on my own. That goes for both male and female.
Yes.
But given the nature of male, my question to you is, how does male ego affects the expression of brotherly, family type of love?
Well, we spoke earlier to the fact that our men were groomed to be, you know, the rougher, tougher, outgoing type. But we see it now, it's even changing in the social media world, where you see some of the men are going viral. The ability to comb their daughters' hair, to have conversations, to play, you know, have playtime with them and so on. And the culture and the dynamics and the upbringing that is contributing to that. But men are still not afraid to express. And we have some men and good men in the country that we can look to as examples and expresses their love. I grew up in a household with both mother and father. I still have always, you know, pointed to other male figures that they can look to and emulate and be able to grow, right? So it's not impossible for us to express, Mark. I think it's a very individualistic thing.
Yeah.
So each person has a different trait and character. So your expression of love might be different from Mark's expression of love, right? But each person have their own individual values and how they express it.
Okay. I believe that there is an expression of the family type of love, but it is the how. The usual ways have differed. And let me give you an example. I have a 22-year-old son. And when I listen to how they greet each other, he and his peers greet each other, and my son still came from a conservative Christian background. He's a Christian, by the way. But when I listen to how they greet each other, I'm like, what? I see my nice, calm, conservative son at home, but when they meet each other, the way they express and the way they greet each other is rather coarse in my mind. So I think as a people, we have to recognize the shift in the how. In other cases, you look at when a male has not seen his buddy, his brethren for a season. And when they meet up in a parking lot, the expression is very animalistic. There might be a hug, but it is rough and coarse and as almost as if they are striking each other. Now, when we contrast that with the shake of hand and the more calmer expression from yesteryear, we may misinterpret and say there is no brotherly love there. But I want us to recognize a shift in how it is expressed. And then see how we can leverage that. Because to go and tell a young man, don't call your friend. Oh God, I hate to say it, but it's just a reality. Don't call your friend dog. It just rolls off their tongue. I don't like to hear it, but he's not calling his friend a four-footed beast. He's greeting his. So there is still a level of brotherly love, family love out there, beyond the boundaries of biological family, but it's the way it is expressed. So here comes information, and the older folks must recognize the shift. Because we too may misinterpret what's happening and maybe undermine the level of this storge love that is prevailing in society. So that's how we do it out here on a limb. We ask you to join us for the next episode as we explore and deal with the things that you ponder but seldom explore. Thanks for being with us right here out on a limb.